Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Adrian Salisbury, and this is an exciting live because I'm getting to interview the founders of Ecamm Live, Ken and Glen. And if you don't know what Ecamm Live is, it is a fantastic live video production tool that allows us to broadcast professional live streams like this and so much more than that. And it's absolutely become an essential part of our business. It really does help us to stand out and be seen, make a difference, and get people's attention. And if you're on a Mac and you haven't tried Ecamm Live yet, then we've popped a 14-day trial in the description. But I'm pretty confident that everyone here is already on it. Well, today, as I say, I'm going to be interviewing the founders, Glen and Ken, and getting to know a bit more about these men behind the scenes. And talking of behind the scenes, I've already got Glen sitting here. And so let's bring him on. And I know he's here where you want to see, not me. So here we go. Hello, Glen.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
How are you doing?
I'm
Very
good.
I just said to Glen as we were coming on, I'm actually feeling really nervous about interviewing you and Ken.
And then I said, oh, then you're going to make me nervous.
That's right.
If I know you're nervous.
Sorry about that. Glen, Ken's not here at the minute. Do you want to just explain why?
I think he just messed up with his schedule. And Ken started a venture a couple of years ago where he's doing a nonprofit where he teaches kids how to do coding and robotics and all that fun stuff. And it's actually right next door to his Ecamm office. And so I think he's got some kids in the classroom right now.
I love that. I know when we came out to create
I'm just
Ecamm,
here
I
in the
was
North
that
Andover
room, I
office.
think, and
I'm all by myself. I'm just
Okay.
all by myself here in North Andover.
So when we see Ken come in, I'll spot him in the interview and we'll bring him in. But for now, it's you and me. So that's interesting, actually. So you're in different offices then. I mean, these are the sort of things that people don't know. They probably think you're all there in one big office together.
We have like a kind of a unique setup, I guess you could say. I mean, we work really closely together, and we live only like 30 minutes apart.
Yeah.
We do a lot of working from home, but I also set up an office about 5 minutes from my house in the sort of like the center of my town. I'm just kind of on the second floor of like a old-timey brick building, and I just come here and to work when I need to get out of the house. Ken, just oddly enough, has an office in the downtown of his town about 5 minutes from his house, strangely on the second floor of a red brick building, and works from there a lot.
It's like you're connected.
And then sometimes he'll drive down here or I'll drive up there, and so yeah, it's a little bit of like we just kind of work everywhere.
Nice.
Whatever
works. That's really cool. We ought to just say hello, actually, Glen, to a few people that are on. I see there's a lot of comments, people that are on here already. Lovely to see you all. And,
hey everybody, I can see. Well, since we're using Ecamm, I can see the live stream comments over on the side of the screen, which is really fun. So if you see me like kind of looking down a little bit, I'm reading the live comments coming through.
Fantastic. Well, that's good to know, because if I miss any comments and questions, that you'll be able to pick them up as well. And we ought to just say that's, I've obviously got questions for Glen and Ken, and I've been thinking about this and things that I'm curious to know about, and just to find a bit more of the backstory, really. But we're live, and you are very welcome to post a question into the chat. And put a Q and a colon in front of it if you can. It does just make it easier when I'm looking at a busy chat feed there to see what's an actual question. So as we're going through this, if you think, oh, I've just thought of a question, if we think it's appropriate, then we'll ask Glen and hopefully Ken when he joins us as well.
Yeah, and then when Ken comes on, he can be there to like sort of fact check all the stuff I'm making up about the history of the company and everything.
Is he the more technical? Would he know the answers? Would he be more?
I think it's more like we both have like not so great memory.
Yeah. That's fine. Don't worry. And you haven't got Katie across the room this time to be kind of shaking her head and telling you that it's wrong.
No, we do not. So.
Well, Glen, I don't know about you, but this all looks and feels quite familiar to me. And we've been here before. And checking your memory now, it was December the 20th, 2018.
Uh-oh.
And this was us. So shall I just play this? I've hacked it together a little bit very quickly. Don't judge me for my editing, but I just wanted to just play 60 seconds of an interview, which was the first time really that we met. Have a look at this. Well, hi there. I'm Adrian Salisbury from the Pro Video Academy, and welcome to what is the first of a weekly live show that we're going to be hosting here on this Facebook page. So I'm using Ecamm, and I figured who better to kick this first show off with me than the president himself, and to bring Glen on. With no further ado, let me bring Glen on. Glen, welcome. I feel very honoured to have you on the show here with me.
Happy to join you. This is exciting.
Yeah. So, Glen, I'm a big fan of yours. We've got a few of your friends on here. Frank Stonehouse is on. Rob's on. Good to have you guys.
We have a great community with Ecamm Live, and it's so fun to work with people all around the world and bounce ideas off people, see what they're doing with the software and
yes.
what issues they run into. It's really it's one of my favorite parts of this project, really.
I love that. What about that? Have we aged?
I think we might have.
Oh, fantastic. I love that. When I thought about doing this interview, I thought I've got to dig that out and see if we can find it. But rather than running it straight off Facebook, I thought I'd just pull it down. And fantastic. Yeah.
And we both do look a little more nervous in 2018.
Katie says we're both babies. Yeah. Fantastic. Pre-COVID, of course, lots happened. It's this whole time warp that we've been through since then. But so, Glen, you're going to have to start us off with answering these questions. And I reckon Ken's probably deliberately dragging it out so he doesn't have to. Oh, I say that. He's just coming into my. Let me see. I'll give him a second. Just hold the fort there a second, and I'm going to assign him down here. And are you going to feel more comfortable having your brother with you? Hello, Ken.
Hi, guys. Hi, Adrian.
How you doing?
Sorry, I'm a little bit late to the party.
That's fine. I got Glen just to explain where you've been and what you've been doing then. So what age were you just teaching now?
I was just doing some one-on-one lessons with some kids who they're homeschool students, so that they're free during the day. And I can, make better use of the classroom by teaching them at a not after school time. So they come by on Fridays, and we do some lessons on program. Nice. Yeah. And I've been tutoring these kids for years, and it's just so cool to see them getting better at it. And
I love that.
And yeah.
And how rewarding, to be able to do that really and pass that on, and it'd be lovely to see.
And just get to meet and hang out with these clever kids who actually love computers and want to learn more about it.
And do you really spot? Do you spot talent there? Is it like a sports person that would go, "Oh, this kid's really got talent"?
Usually, when the parents come up and find our classroom, they know the kid's got something going already, and I'll work with them and figure out what level they're at, and talk to them about what they're interested in and what they want to focus on, whether it's building a robot, learning to code, or making a game, or
amazing. And who knows what the next Elon Musk might come out of there, and you'll be able to.
Did you see Andy just posted a question? Are they the next Ecamm interns? Well, we have actually hired interns out of the classroom after they've graduated. Oh my God! The fire alarm just went off once. I hope that doesn't happen again. I got really choppy. That was terrifying. Wow. Can you guys see me okay?
Yeah,
you got a little choppy when the fire alarm went off. That was odd. Anyway, we had a student who had graduated from high school. He's in college now, and we actually hired him to write some code for the app. So the new virtual camera that's in the beta and some of the stuff that's going in soon actually was worked on by a student here,
Oh, that's
which is
fantastic.
fantastic. And
I love that.
yeah,
Mark saying maybe you need to go and check that fire. Interviews on fire. Right.
if it stops going off, that's okay, right? Yeah. We were having some trouble with the fire alarm, and I think that was probably a test of it. But
fair enough. Hopefully.
Yeah. But why did it make
Ken,
your internet connection slow down?
I'm going to have to stop you. I can see both your minds are going into what's happening with all the tech going on here, and I need to just bring you back to this. So I've already started off with Glen, and I played a little video clip. I'll get you to watch back at the start of the replay, but of when we first connected back end of 2018 and really started this journey together. But we wanted to. I'd love to hear more about you two, and so twin brothers.
Yeah, I can kind of like start that off, I guess. I mean, like, Ken and I have been sort of oddly immersed in this, like, the sort of the world of the Mac and Mac programming since we were probably like 12 years old, right, Ken?
Wow.
I mean, now we're 45, so it's been a while, but we had. When we were 12, our dad bought us a Mac as our first computer.
Okay.
Which was, thinking back, kind of really out of character for him, because it was like they were like $4,000. I mean, they were
1980
ridiculously expensive, and I think he even upgraded the RAM from 1 megabyte to 4 megabytes of RAM, which was nuts.
Was he technical himself then? Was he?
He was. I mean, I think. He wasn't really a computer guy, but I think he was kind of keeping up with the Joneses, like, because our friend's dad had a Mac.
Okay.
And
well, that's a nice benefit.
But anyway, like, the Macs came with HyperCard, which was like a way ahead of its time, easy to learn programming language where you could just start building apps on the Mac. And
well, the beauty of it was
taught ourselves.
You could see the code of other apps, so that allowed you to dig in and see how it worked.
Right.
You couldn't hide your code. Yeah.
But how did you? But what made you as a 12-year-old to be thinking about coding? That doesn't. You don't just get a computer and start thinking about coding.
I think we have to owe it all to HyperCard, which was built by like Bill Atkinson back in the 80s. Like, if you I'm listening to the Steve Jobs biography right now, and it's so fun to hear these names of like people who you just thought of as like,
yeah,
your childhood heroes in the about boxes of these apps back in the 80s. I mean, and it introduced us to this world of like, hey, like, you can not only use apps on your computer, you can make them. Like, you can make them do anything you want. And that was just kind of like addictive. That's all we wanted to do was like, was build them. And I think another part of it was like, there were games on the Mac, but we were just really like bad at them. Like, we were so bad at games that we didn't want to play games.
Yeah, like, if we had been good at games, we might not have gotten into programming. And people say, like, I can't believe you don't game. Like, to this day, I haven't played a computer game that was in color. Like, because if a friend hands me the controller and says, play this game with me, I'm just so terribly bad at it that it's not fun.
Okay.
Once I was at a friend's house and he had rented some crazy 3D like multiplayer like war game kind of thing, and he hands me the controller and he's like, dude, why are you just getting in and out of your car over and over again? And I'm like, well, I mean, the last time I played a Nintendo game, like, you just banged on the buttons, but I guess you can't do that anymore. There's like 90 buttons and they all do different things, and you can't just pound the buttons anymore like in Street Fighter 2. You have to actually like know what the buttons do.
So what were the first things that you were creating then when you were coding?
I wish we saved some of those. They're probably like on a floppy disk somewhere.
I have them.
But I do remember those up.
One of the first things we coded was like on the Mac, you could actually record digital audio files. You needed a special like box called like a Mac recorder or something. Like, you could record sound effects. So we recorded our voice saying, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like the parts of a number. And then we wrote a HyperCard app that would piece together like the parts of numbers, like 123, like that. And then
Or like say
we
the
wrote an
time,
app that
like the
would
speaking clock.
just count up in infinity or something, or count like, and it
wow.
was just like so cool to see like we could piece together things like that. Remember
Because
that?
nobody else could do that. You have to remember, like you have to put yourself in the context of no internet.
That's right.
The computer can only do what was on the disks that came in the mail. So when you have the ability to write your own programs, you're multiplying what your computer can do by this factor, orders of magnitude, because we had just a pile of floppy disks, and that's all the computer could do. Like all the computer could do, until the next floppy disk came in the mail. So
And
you
I'm
were really
assuming
giving your
this wasn't because of a teacher that was, you weren't being taught this at school, presumably.
not at
This is
that
just
age. No.
you two
Yeah,
that had picked
there
this
really
up.
wasn't any sort of like programming teacher at all, I
No.
guess. It was just all self-taught.
Now fast forward to like high school, and they still do this. They make all the kids, at least in the U.S., for high school algebra or geometry, buy these expensive calculators with a little screen on them. They're called graphing calculators. Anyone my age, and I think they still do this. You buy these TI calculators with a little screen, so that you can graph sine waves or whatever, or parabolas, and all we were using them for in geometry class was graphing quadratics and stuff, like silly things. But me and Glenn are sitting there, and we realized these calculators can be programmed. You can write little basic
No.
apps for them.
Right.
It was very tedious because you were programming with calculator with the buttons that are on the calculator. Yeah, Andy's saying he did this too. We had the TI-81 and the TI-82. And I remember writing an entire video poker game where it would deal you cards, then you could discard, and it would deal you back and add up your score. I remember
Wow.
Glenn wrote a whole like driving tank game on his. It filled up the whole memory of the device, and so the teacher
And
thought
probably
we were
like
doing
if the batteries
doing
ran out, you probably just like lost your whole game.
So this is what you were doing in class when they thought you were sitting
That's
adding up.
we're doing math, but we're really coding as fast as we can in BASIC, which is such torture because there's no ifs, there's no repeats, there's just go to commands.
Wow.
But writing an entire video poker game in BASIC on a TI-81 calculator was pretty intense.
Kids these days
Steve-
don't know how good they've got it then, do they?
Steve remembers playing stick-figure Street Fighter on his TI-82.
No way. Was that one of
So
your
the
games?
TI-82, the TI-82 was a big added the ability to set a pixel to be either black or white. So that allowed you to write graphical games. So you could say, and it was pixel by pixel. There wasn't even a line routine. You just said, make that pixel black, make that pixel black, make that pixel black. So you had to write everything pixel by pixel, which was crazy. But I'm getting kind of technical here.
Right, yeah. So actually, who's actually the eldest out of you?
So this is a really common twin question. I say when people find out we're twins,
Yeah.
they've got usually 2 or 3 questions. They want to know, can you read each other's thoughts? And then they want to know who's older, which I always thought was the most bizarre twin question, because twins means we're the same age. Like that's what twins mean.
Yeah.
And so
Who
that's
got
the
out
first
first?
question. Like that question would make sense for like siblings. Oh, like this is my brother. Oh, who's older? But twins, we're the same age. We have the same birthday.
Well, I've heard of people that have been a year apart.
Everybody asks that.
So who's Big
Unless you were
Brother? Come
born
on.
across-
Ken was on the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I was first out the hatch. But Valerie's like,
excellent.
you know.
But he doesn't act like a big brother. Then he's not bossing you around all the time, Glenn. And
I don't feel like there's any bossing going on. What do you think? Ken?
no, I was going to ask how you get on. I mean, is that a twin thing that you just naturally get on and don't argue?
That is kind of like, I would say, like the biggest advantage to running a business with your twin brother is like we seem to just like work things out really well. Like when we do have a little bit of like a disagreement on something, it's usually something really minor, and the way we work it out is we just kind of like table it and then bring it up every once in a while, and it turns out whoever cares more, um, like after a few days, the person just cares less, and then whoever cares more gets that decision made in their favor, and that kind of like is a good strategy, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what non-twins do too, but it's just like it's very rare that happens. And um, it was funny because like when we first started doing like Ecamm stuff full time seriously, like we got a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, "Oh, do you have like a operating agreement?" And we're like, "No, like we're brothers. Like, do we need an operating agreement?" And she had this like look of horror on her face, and she's like, "That's
Yeah.
worse." And we were like,
Oh,
family running a business together is worse. And
yeah.
but yeah,
Understandably, yeah. Um, yeah.
but yeah,
Maggie's,
that is like the main, I think the main cool thing about running the business with Ken is we really do work really well together. We can kind of like we do have the same thought process most of the time, and it's really fun, and it's a joy. It's when we don't take that for granted. Like we we feel really lucky that we have a genetic clone of ourselves
yeah,
to have a business together with. It's really kind of cool.
fantastic. Quite unique
I
as well.
recommend it.
Maggie's just saying here, do you have other siblings?
We have a sister who's younger than us.
Okay.
She lives in the area. I was just down there yesterday, actually. Yeah.
Is she
Hi, Taylor, if you're watching.
is she a tech genius as well, or?
She has other skills.
Yeah. So, was it all about computing growing up? Was it all about this coding and developing, or were you into sports and things?
We were both
I
on the high school
not
football team.
sports.
Oh, no?
No, no.
Uh,
Which one do I listen to? Yeah.
Our main interest in high school was video production. Interestingly enough,
Yeah.
we basically like the school had a lot of the high schools in I don't know if it's just a Massachusetts thing or what, but like there was like this weird thing where like when cable TV showed up in the 80s and 90s, all the local broadcast channels were like, well, like, wait a minute, like if people are just going to be watching cable, like like how are people going to get like local news? Like so there was this
Yeah.
weird arrangement where somehow it ended up that towns would get money from the cable companies, like just like free money. And so the
Okay.
schools could set up these like really nice cable studios, like
Oh,
TV
really?
studios. So our high school had this epic TV studio with
and a full-time
um,
person.
like actual big cameras on like rolling tripods and video mixer, and we even had an Amiga video toaster, and which
Frame
is like a
accurate, like
really
ABC
like
editing.
way ahead of its time. Like you could do titling and stuff. But anyway,
Wow.
like nobody was using it like at all for like and like so we basically like Ken and I just like had a TV studio, like that was just
In the base,
only
so like
we
basically like
I'm not even
a
exaggerating.
secret
Like
room
it
in the
was just
basement of the high
us.
school. A secret room in the basement of the high school that was just like me and Glenn's room with a whole studio attached to it.
Oh,
And we were the
wow.
only ones who knew how to use it. We had the key to it, or not the key. Did we have the key to it? More or less.
We had the key.
Yeah,
No, you had
yeah,
to
and
check the
like
key out of the library.
yeah.
This is so
But
cool.
like, so you go in this room and we was like editing. So we've always been into computers, but
Yeah.
we've also kind of always been into cameras. Like I remember seeing one of the first cameras connected to a computer, and this is probably literally one of the first. Like our friend's dad was a Mac programmer, and the project he was working on at one point was one of the very first computer vision projects. He had a camera head, which is a term you don't hear anymore, but like originally cameras weren't attached to any way to record them. It was just the camera part. And that was going into a circuit board, which was connected to his Mac 2. And you could see the picture from the camera coming out on the screen. And that was probably one of the first times in the world that was even happening outside
And
of like
it was
Silicon
like
Valley.
it was so slow that it would capture a frame from the camera from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So if you got in, I remember like you would get in the frame and you hit capture, and then if you moved like while it was capturing, you would get that like slice effect.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then we
It
were
probably
able to
took 30
bring that.
seconds to capture a whole 480p frame.
So that's got to be like one of the world's first webcams.
Yeah. Who'd have thought
sort
at
of.
that
And
age you'd be doing this now?
But
well, I've
anyway,
always
so
been
we
like since then like totally obsessed with cameras and computers. Like, um, uh, I had like a Connectix Quick Cam like back in the late '90s. Anytime there was any kind of a webcam for the Mac, I would have it. I still have every webcam ever made for the Mac in a
Wow.
box.
I
In
bet
my
you do, yeah.
attic.
But backing up to high school though, like we had we had our own public access TV show, like Wayne's World style, that we would do. Uh, we we would just always like our main extracurricular activity was like writing, producing, shooting, filming, and editing our own TV show that would broadcast out to like 6 towns in the area. So we were
Wow.
like slightly locally famous. Like if we would go to the mall, like sometimes people would recognize us. Like I watched your show on TV, which was so funny. But it was and that was like our main interest. Like when we were applying to colleges and
Yeah, I
stuff, we thought
bet.
like, oh, we're clearly going into like video production or video editing. And for whatever like reason, like at that time, it was like this weird um, transition time in video where things were going digital. Like we were editing back then on tapes, like VHS
Yeah.
tapes. And but then just at that time, like um, non-linear video editing, which we just think of as so normal now, was like just becoming a thing that was coming out of early adopter status, right? Like people are like, wait a minute, like this may be like a way better way to edit. The technology wasn't there yet. Like hard drives weren't big enough, and home computers weren't fast enough to do it. But like commercial, real editors like that could afford a video editing workstation could do it. And then we were just like, and then we started touring colleges, and the colleges had all the old equipment, and we were like, like
We'd got better
I'm
stuff
not
at
really
high school.
feeling it. Like even like we went to BU's like Boston University's like video. They had a comm school, but like they had all this old funky equipment, and it just didn't really get us
No.
excited. Remember, we're like
They had an Avid. Remember, they had an Avid room, and they were like, "But the freshmen aren't allowed in there." Like because it was like $100,000 like system you would
Yeah.
buy to video edit from Avid, and like no one was allowed to touch it. But yeah,
I think we're bringing it all back to Andy as well.
I just have
Yeah.
to shout out to Neil and say, yes, the original.
Oh, what's that?
Ken stopped.
Yeah, he has.
His
What was
internet
that?
connection is questionable.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll keep going. Hopefully
Cut,
Ken will come back, join us again.
cut to the Glenn and Adrian scene, quick.
Yeah. There we go. Nobody spotted anything.
But anyway, yeah, like
Oh,
so somehow like in
he's
that
gone. I'll pick
that
him back up in a
just
minute.
telling the whole life story thing, like we just ended up like doing computer programming instead of video just because of that. Like I think video was just editing was just in like this weird transition phase, and
So were you
and we ended up
restricted
going
from
to a
that then? You were
college
saying
that
you
didn't
couldn't
even
get
have a
into
comm
this.
school. So
Right. Yeah. I was just going to say, was that there wasn't an option there really? If that was all, you were held back from getting into that. Let's just come back. There we go. He's
I'm
back.
sorry, guys.
yeah, and then
The
like
building's internet must have gone down. I'm back on my phone hotspot now.
oh wow.
Um,
But anyway, so like and then when we started going to college in like 1996, like then Apple was in a weird phase. Like it was like people were like it was all doomsday on Apple like Apple's going out of business, like
Oh,
Macs
really?
suck, and like Macs did kind of suck in 1996. They were garbage. They were terrible. They were like big beige boxes that were like slow, and like you had to get these big
Crash.
clunky Triniton monitors to go on top of them, and like Macs were terrible in 1996.
And coding them was even worse. If your program hit a crash, the whole computer needed to be rebooted. They like
Wow.
literally. So like if your program had one line of a mistake, it was a full reboot of the system
Wow.
every time, which
It was
made
a good
programming
discipline to
very,
make
very
sure you,
frustrating.
yeah, it makes you
That's
really
true. I mean,
conscientious putting it together. So what was
You
the
look,
first?
Ken, you look so much better on your phone
Yeah.
I know.
hotspot than you did on your building
The
internet. Your building internet's terrible.
I pay a lot for that too. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Oh dear.
And
Okay,
you're
so
gone
let's
again.
let's kind of fast forward a little bit then. So how was the transition to you starting? So Ecamm as a business then was. I know there's a lot of other apps that have been around before Ecamm Live that we know about. How did that all start?
It was like, wait, is Ken just standing really still again, or is
Oh
he?
no, he's gone again.
Well, yeah. I mean, so yeah, so we got programming. We just continued to always be writing apps, and I
Did it
guess you
just
could
evolve
almost
then
say that
into selling
Ecamm,
what you'd been making? And
yeah, like the idea of actually selling apps was like happened really organically. One of our computer science professors, just by some weird stroke of like, um, I don't remember the details, but someone gave him a broken Palm Pilot, and that someone giving him a broken Palm Pilot just set our whole life in a different direction,
okay,
because he gave us the broken Palm Pilot. Ken took it apart and put it back together, and it started working again. And then we found out we could write Palm Pilot apps,
okay,
and there was an app store for the Palm Pilot. It was third party. It was way ahead of its time. It was called palmpilotgear.com, and the guy was a genius. He was like the one that invented the whole like app store where he takes 20% and the developer takes 80%. And that was like, he basically just invented that, like that normal thing that we think of now as like an app
yeah,
store. And of course, like it wasn't as streamlined as Apple's. Like you know, you you had to download things and install them manually and everything. But I wrote like a little dumb little astronomy calculator app in 1999, and
yeah.
I uploaded it to palmpilotgear.com for $8. It's an $8 app, and like the next day, someone bought it, and I was six
Oh wow.
dollars. I was $6 profit, and I was and he would mail. They mailed a monthly check. So I was like in college, like making money on my dumb little like astronomy calculator app, and I was like, well, this is awesome. This is so cool. Like you can just write apps and sell them on the internet. Because like remember, like that was new. Like just even the idea of buying an app and downloading, like we always had to explain to people like, no, like when you buy our app on the internet, like we're not going to mail you a box. Like we do not mail the, and people would still be like, well, can you? Like it's cool that you can download this app, but like, can you mail me a CD? And we would be like, no, we are not going to mail you a disc. Like you buy it and you download it, and then that's just the same as getting a disc. Like you don't need a disc. But anyway, like from that point on, we just started
Yeah,
writing Palm Pilot apps, and
that's so
Ken
cool.
was working on some Mac apps. But like I said again, the Mac sucked so bad then, like
Okay,
um, that was problematic. But so we had when Ecamm first started, it was a Palm Pilot app company, and we had some hits. There was one that added Star Trek sound effects to your Palm Pilot, and there was one that what was the other one? Like there was an app that let you send things from one Palm Pilot to another Palm Pilot, and
Yeah.
that kind of is how we developed Ecamm's original business model, which was like write little apps that solve simple problems, and um, not
fantastic.
quite that simple, because like the app not only needed to be simple and solve a problem, but also needed to have a little bit of tech magic in there so that other people couldn't just write the same app. So it was
A
like
clever
it did
factor.
something novel and hard to do, like not easily recreatable, and we
Yeah.
would charge typically $8, or right, like most of them are $8.
Yeah, and
Fantastic.
the Mac thing kind of took off as a result of, yeah, like a little clever trick we were pulling. Like the story of our first Mac success is really strange. Like, so y'all remember iChat, which is what iMessage used to be called. It was like a
Hmm.
AOL style. Was it AOL? It was
It
like
was
Apple's
based on on
AIM.
AOL.
So AOL Instant Messenger client was called iChat, shipped on every Mac. And one year they announced, we are adding um, FaceTime. We were adding video. They didn't call it that yet, did they? We were adding video
No,
chat. So a little green camera would appear next to all of your buddies on your buddy list if they had a Mac too, and you could click and you could
you had
video
to buy their
call them.
camera.
Only if you bought their iSight metal cylinder style Firewire 400, as Neil said, camera. And man, was it an added cost for a lot of people to buy this little camera, and it would only even activate this video chat mode when you had one of these cameras plugged in. And people were like, this is weird because I own this like USB webcam,
Like a Logitech or something.
a Logitech or a Quick Cam or whatever. What do you
Yeah.
mean I can't use it? Like, why? And I was like, yeah, why? So I started digging into the kind of the guts of Apple's video conferencing system and figured out why and fixed it.
Wow.
So you paid us the $8. You ran a little installer, and poof, iChat
Serious.
would now work with your USB webcam. So
That's
we called
amazing.
it iChat USB Cam. That was the name of the tool, and that's all
Terrible
it did.
name.
It had no UI. You just installed it, and suddenly, iChat worked with your webcam. And
And did it take off?
it was exceptionally popular. We must have sold 100,000
Wow.
downloads of it over the years. It
I
became
love that.
unnecessary. It suddenly became
Yeah.
unnecessary when Apple stopped requiring the iSight.
Yeah.
But by that
I guess
time, we
that's
had developed other products that we were selling.
yeah. That's going to
But
be the case, I guess, when you're fixing something like that. That's almost an interim bug or an issue that is going to get sorted out
yeah,
later on. Um,
yeah. The
but how
next success we
encouraging
had
for
was,
you to be putting that
oh,
out and seeing it getting so many downloads and things. And
yeah, and we were like just in the midst of our first computer company jobs, and that was just a nice side project for us at that point. Um,
so, what were
I
they
was
then? You say having company jobs.
Oh yeah, I was working at Avid, which is actually the company that makes those big expensive video editors.
Okay.
That turned out that company was down the street from us, by coincidence, in Massachusetts. Avid is still around. They've moved into they make Pro Tools. They own Pro Tools, and they also make a lot of cool storage products.
Right.
But at the time, their major product was a video editing system. Still
Right.
exists, still in use by news studios and Hollywood studios, but largely for the lower end replaced by free things like iMovie. But Avid at the time was on the cutting edge of video editing, and they were a Mac company that had been pressured by the investors to make a Windows version, but was originally a Mac thing. And they
So,
were always adding the latest and greatest abilities to that tool. So working on that was a really cool experience, and I learned a lot about video and a lot about video formats and how to write
right.
a real-time video pipeline and things like that.
So you look
That's
back
right.
at
You weren't
that being
just
an instrumental part of the journey, really. Then, if you
Yeah,
learned
it
things
really
there that you wouldn't have
was.
done if you'd have come straight into this. I kind of assumed from what you were saying, you were going to say that you just rolled straight into the business together.
no. We both got like cubicle jobs after college because when we were graduating in 2000, like it was like the crazy .com nutso, like the companies were hiring anyone with a pulse, like
Right.
to do computer stuff. So like they were trying to convince us like, oh, don't bother graduating in May, like come work for us. And I was like, it's March. Like, can I just
Oh,
graduate
really?
first? And so
No,
it was just we
that was
just kind of
key.
flowed naturally into cubicle jobs, and it wasn't for us.
So at what point then did you say, right, we're leaving those jobs? This is popular enough now. It's successful enough.
Yeah. We could make it sound like we took some sort of daring plunge into having our own
Self-employment.
business, but
What
in
would you have if
actuality,
Ken wasn't here?
in, in actuality, we just left those jobs and we didn't need them anymore because like the side business
Yeah,
was able to
2005.
like,
2005.
It was
yeah.
So
2005.
cool. It was.
Was
What was
it?
that? 2005.
Yeah.
I laughed before you came on, Ken, because Glenn said he just kind of tends to make up the numbers as he goes, but you'd be more likely the one that would correct him on it.
No, I quit Advent in 2005, and you quit Patient Keeper in 2006. Remember?
Okay.
There
I
we
believe
go.
you.
Fantastic. So when, well, actually, first of all, this was a question of mine. Where did this name Ecamm come from?
It that kind of goes back to the whole .com boom. Like, I think it was just like a domain we had registered. Like,
Okay.
remember like how big a deal it was to have like a .com domain that was
Yep.
um, like people they were
Or
so valuable, and like we registered like ecamm.com because Ken was working on some camera related projects, right? Like
Yep.
some
yeah,
webcam related projects, and we just used that domain to sell the Palm Pilot apps and the Mac apps, and that just kind of became the name of the company. Like it's not an acronym. It doesn't have any particular special meaning
Okay.
other than like it was a domain that we the shortest domain name that we had at the time, and
Yeah. And I get that, the value of trying to get that as small as possible. And
yeah.
it's
yeah,
It was
it
really
like
hard
seems
to
I
it
do.
seems
found a.
silly nowadays. Like,
It was like, oh my god, I found a 5-letter domain name that's not taken. Like that was like exciting because it like
Yeah.
that was a
Oh,
rush
well
to get
done.
those.
Oh, but
Yeah.
now we all know. Um, and then, so Ecamm Live itself then. I was asking Glenn before we started, Ken, whether you'd got an example at all of it that we could. I'm really interested in seeing what the first version of Ecamm was. But Ken, maybe we'll ask you when when was Ecamm Live first launched? Then
Um, I believe that I started working on it in like 2016 or 17. Let me see if I
okay.
can just check the dates here on the
Oh
code.
wow. Okay. So when we spoke in 2018, at the end of then, it was only a couple of years in the making.
Yeah, I mean it's not a super old product. Um, look
And
at the
while
code.
you're looking at that, then what was the inspiration behind this then?
it was like I think we were really just like looking for like a new thing to work on. Like what's next? What is
Yeah,
what direction
2016.
is or what are people using their Macs for, and what's going on in the world, and live streaming was just kind of becoming a thing, and there
Yep.
was no real kind of easy way to do it. Like, part of any like Mac developer business model is usually like, you know, make something that's user friendly and powerful. Like that's just kind of like, no brainer thing that, Apple tries to do, like make
Mm.
something powerful but also easy to use, and kind of
Yep.
strike that balance between functionality and ease of use. And we felt there was a way to do that for live streaming. And it was, it was only Facebook was really the only one in the game for live streaming at that point. So
Right.
it was natural to link up with Facebook. And we felt like even though like even at that time their OBS was a free alternative to it, there was Wirecast, which was a Mac app that was like
Two extremes.
it was expensive, and it really didn't do much. And we felt like we can come in the middle between free and expensive, and also bring in that sort of ease of use
Yeah.
and build a compelling product. And so we built version 1.0, which you really don't need a lot of imagination to imagine what it looked like when it first launched, because
Okay.
the main window is very much been a mainstay of the app. In 2017, when we launched, we had that main window. We had the some buttons on the top for the the different modes.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
clicked at the button at the bottom to go live. Some of that shuffled around to support multi-streaming um, over the years, different platforms,
Yeah.
different new functionality, but it really has kind of um, stayed pretty similar, that main window. When it
Yeah.
started out, it was not a subscription. Um, it was just something that you bought once, more traditional style of an app, right? Like you pay once, and like we had always done, not only just pay once, but like free upgrades was like a thing that we always did.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
all of our other like our colleagues, I guess you could say, in the software industry, like always told us like that's the dumbest thing in the world. Why do you give free upgrades for your apps? Like that's how, like,
Mm.
because what happened was with these apps where you just bought it was like those companies, they felt like, oh well, we need to get payment from these users for like version 2, version 3, version 4. So their whole product cycle and their whole upgrade cycle was based around like their next sort of like big paid upgrade, like, and we felt like giving the upgrades free would be like, we don't have to focus on like where's our next like,
Yeah.
you know, and like we don't feel like there's a finite number of people in the world using the computers, like we can keep giving free upgrades. And what the subscription lets us do is like the same thing. It's like we don't have to focus on like where's our next big like upgrade coming from. We have that stream of revenue that lets us just keep improving the app nonstop.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so but even
Love
even
it.
to this even to this day, like people just think our free upgrade policy is just so crazy. People will be like, I've been a call recorder customer for 20 years and I still get updates.
Wow. So
Yeah, so
okay,
it was
so we
2000. Oh, go ahead, Adrian.
I was just going to say, what were the kind of major milestones with Ecamm Live then, with it upgrading and things? So we obviously, so Skype was being used for interviewing at the start. Interviewing came in.
Yeah, so
It
Ecamm
feels
Live,
like it's been a lot more recently, actually, hasn't it? In the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
2017 was, I think, the year we released as version 1.
Right.
It was
Okay.
allowed you to go live to Facebook,
Yeah.
either with your camera, play a movie, or screen share. Those were the original 3 modes. They're still there. And I think basic text overlays, maybe,
I feel like
and
we had comments
and
coming in.
comments.
Yeah.
And I think that the next major thing we added to the tool, as far as like version 2, would have been, oh geez,
Is it in the release notes? Can I scroll back?
it's got to
and
be
see
in the
it?
release notes. What was in version 2.0?
Oh wow! I won't do it now, but no,
Maybe
no,
the
it's
Skype
fantastic.
Now I have to know. Hold on, let me go back to version 2. Well, the version 2 added, right, Skype integration, scenes, the camera switcher,
Okay.
stream
Oh,
keys.
scenes. Oh, really? So scenes weren't in the original.
No. I
We
guess
do
not.
love our scenes.
Version 3 was a huge update for us, along with 3.1, where we added the virtual cam, NDI support, and really improved the whole performance of the tool as Apple made the graphics capabilities of the Mac better. We added other destinations.
Yeah. Well, I think that must have been early 2018 then that I first discovered it and was using it. Yeah, I hadn't appreciated it was that new then at that point.
But we are still at this point, 7 years later, still the primary.
Oh, Glenn, you got to finish his sentence.
The primary
It's like one of those games where you end on a word
the
and you've got to carry
primary
it on.
way that people live stream on the Mac. No.
Well done. We'll give you that. All right, let's come aside from. I mean, we'll come back to some of the feats. I'm interested to sort of. Well, I'll wait till Ken's back in. But what are your roles in the company then? How does this work? How do you divide out what's being done with coding
It's interesting.
and new features?
Like when Ken was saying, oh, like when he worked at Avid, he learned about video pipelines and how to write audio tools, and like he's still to this day, like he's still. I feel like when he codes, he's more like working on a lot more of that sort of low level. How is all the video and audio moving through the app? How is it getting mixed together? Everything passing information between all the processes that the app has. He does a lot of that sort of magical things, whereas I would tend to be working more on like the user experience, the user interface, figuring out what features are in the app and how they're presented to the user. Yeah. So there is kind of like a little bit of a division there between what we work on. Ken, what happened?
I don't know.
What are you doing, Ken? I was just asking Glenn what the roles were in how you kind of divide out who does what in the company, but he's done a great job of answering that. Yeah, so it's you're presumably you're still very much sitting around and deciding on these new features, and then one of you says, "I'll take that one," or
yeah.
You do that.
Do you remember, Ken, like the launch of Ecamm Live 1.0? Like, it wasn't a very good launch at all. Like, it's funny because like it's definitely become like our most successful product in the sense that like, we're still working on it 7 years later. It's basically like all we work on now. But like when it launched version 1.0, like it was kind of like crickets. Like it, like our typical like launch strategy would be like come up with cool, simple app idea, create it, launch it, send it to all our contacts at like Macworld and Mac User Magazine, and like all that. We had this big list of like contacts we would send things out to, and that they would get all excited and they would write articles about it and like post it on their blogs, and like Daring Fireball or whatever would like link to it, and we'd get like all this attention. And we launched Ecamm Live and like nobody cared at all. Like I think to this day, like none of those guys work for Mac magazines obviously anymore. Like they never wrote us up. Like we never we didn't have a very successful launch of Ecamm Live, but we stuck with it, and we grew the user base sort of gradually, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our typical launch, so.
There's guys here in the chat feed as well. We're all extremely thankful that you stuck at it and didn't ditch it and move on to something else. But yeah, scary, to do that and launch something and find it's not there. And it's not that you would have known that there's demand for it and then there's interest. It's getting it in front of people, isn't it?
Yeah, and what happened was actually kind of interesting, and was that we were sitting around one day looking at our numbers, like how many people bought it today. We were feeling kind of down about it. Like, man, no one knows about this. Like, no one's writing this up. How can we get this in front of people? Like, is anyone even using this? And so we just went on YouTube and just searched for the name of the product to see if anyone had done like a demo or a rundown of it. And we said, if we're going to find some people talking about this who did a good job at showing it, because we do a terrible job showing it ourselves, and we're going to contact them and see if they want to work with us to spread the word more. And of the handful of people we found, one of them was this guy, was Adrian. And so we emailed him right away, and we're like, hey man, I don't even know what we said. Like, would you be interested in working with us? We loved the video you made. We loved how clearly you explained it, how you walked through it. We love everything about this. Can you help us?
Yeah.
And that's how actually the relationship with Adrian's company started,
Yeah.
just from that.
And I think the original idea was to create a set of videos to be able to put on your site, on your channel. I'm really pleased that I kind of said with this idea of running the academy and actually for it to let it be my business there rather than just recording a batch of videos and walking away and off to the next customer. I absolutely love this, the relationship we've got here. And I was going to say this near the end, but genuinely, you guys have totally changed our world, our lives. We were, and I get that whole, you're trying to launch things, you're doing stuff, you're trying to put things out, you got a great product, but it's getting in front of people. And actually, this partnership, this relationship has absolutely put us on the map. It's helped us out. It's helped our other trainings that we do. But our Ecamm Live Academy, we've had over 2,000 people come through it now. They absolutely love the training. They love the product. I look back and that was kind of one of the most pivotal, well, it was the most pivotal point in my business, was meeting you guys and letting me do this training around it. So huge thank you. Yeah, this is a real privilege and honor to
you're welcome.
be here reminiscing and kind of, getting a chance to thank you on here.
Yeah, and then the next really major boost for Ecamm Live was when we decided that we were not doing the greatest job marketing the product, and we should probably hire a marketing person. And then that is when Katie came on board.
Yeah.
And honest to God, someone said in the comments just now, like, no Ecamm fam, like, hard to imagine. We didn't even have a YouTube channel. So she had a lot of work to do coming in.
Yeah.
To get us, like, I think I said, if we're going to be a social media company, we should probably have some social media, at all. And so she was able to build that out, working with us to.
Doc's just saying the best upgrade was Katie. Absolutely. And I think this was that, we'd started talking at the start of 2019 then. So we had that interview that we showed at the start. If people have joined in since then, watch the replay, because there was the original interview that I had with Glenn back end of 2018. But we started talking 2019. Katie came on board, I believe, that summer. And that was when we ran, I worked very closely with Katie and always have done since, to then put together this first academy. And it was then the start of the next year that I certainly came and joined you out at Social Media Marketing World, and actually got to meet you for the first time.
It wasn't.
Paul says we have 1,500 videos on the YouTube channel now.
Unbelievable. Wow. Yeah. So like, Adrian wasn't the only person we reached out to that fateful day. He's the only person that we still work closely with from back then, but one of the other people we reached out to was very helpful in suggesting we go check out this conference, Social Media Marketing World.
Okay.
That was his big tip for us. And out of that, we met like everybody. Like that year was huge there. Like, you came out to that, right? To help us.
I came out 2020. So I think you'd been there the previous year.
Oh, the previous year we met like Leslie. We met, I might have been where we met Stephanie.
People like Mari as well.
Mari was there. I don't know if we got a chance to show it to her that year, but
yeah,
like that was pivotal. People wonder, like, should I go to tech shows? Should I go to trade shows? Like that year, we came away with all of these great, amazing people interested in the tool. And a lot of them were already using it, had already downloaded it, and we're just so excited to see us there and find out that that they could connect with us, because we weren't some huge faceless company. We were just like, hi, I'm Ken from Ecamm.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? So
that must be awesome. Again, to sort of be there and, to have people coming up to you like that and realizing what an impact it's having. Even like in the chat here, people just saying, it saved their business. And you must be very proud of it all. I'm conscious time's running on. Are you guys all right for a few minutes? I I was wanting to ask you what your favorite features were.
Or
Our
Ecamm
favorite,
Live features. Did you
Yeah.
prepare? Did you prepare for this, Ken?
I didn't get that far down through the notes
And
before we came on,
well, that would
but
teach you. And please let me ask in the chat as well. Fire away, people. What are your favourite features with Ecamm?
you got it. Glenn?
I will always say the live comments are my absolute favorite, just because like it's just one of those examples of like something that you're not going to be able to do without using a tool like Ecamm. Like, and even now, like in the interview mode, watching the comments come through from all the
Yeah,
viewers, it just really, like, you think about like what is a live stream, like what makes it different than like a pre-recorded video, and that real-time interaction is like my absolute
yeah.
favorite. It's so fun. It just makes it a conversation, and it's what makes it a live stream, I think, to see those comments coming through.
Absolutely. And people love it. I know I've been on the other end, of one of your calls or somebody else's, and they go, "Oh, Adrian's here." And it makes you feel really good when you're sitting the other side of it. And I think, when we're calling people out here and showing them on this, it makes a big difference. Lots of things coming through. I would agree with David. I think the virtual mic has got to have been the biggest game changer for me. Being able, I've spent way more time on Zoom, and to be able to do this and put a presentation together like this over there just blows people's minds how you're doing it.
Yeah, my
Loads
favorite
of
feature
things
is
coming
probably
through.
my favorite. This is kind of random, but like my favorite feature is probably the green screen.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't realize it, but like our green screen is awesome, and so we decided to add that. And if you look at how other programs do it, you get all of these crazy settings. Like there's like 19 little sliders. There's all these checkboxes. You have to choose your color and everything. And I was like, I'm going to make green screen. But listen to this. There's just going to be on, off, and one
yeah,
slider. That's it. And we're not even going to say what the slider does. Like you're just going to slide it until it looks good. And there's not going to be like all these different factors and like adjustments around. Like it's just gonna work like Apple style.
yeah.
Like it should just do it. You shouldn't need to set anything. And it was actually really much more difficult than I was expecting to get it looking good.
So is
But I
that
was
a favorite because that's something you're most proud of, really, within it, that you've got that working?
I am really proud of how I was able
Yeah,
to get it working as well as it does for different lighting conditions and people with poofy hair, and people, and then we were able to later add blue screen because people wanted there to be green in there. And
yeah,
that's hard, the way that we were able to get that in working so well, with videos behind you and stuff like that. I just love that part of the tool because I like video effects and I like
yeah.
working on that kind of
From
stuff.
your background, really. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. I love that. What do we think most requested features? What are you sort of sitting on at the minute, or thinking this is something that keeps coming up?
Our feature request list is very long. We do
I'm
keep track
sure. Yeah.
in a Slack channel and in a shared note. And I don't know if we'd be able to really say what is requested the most
Okay.
because the list just grows faster than we can. We put stuff on the bottom faster than we can take stuff off the top. And they're all great ideas.
Yeah.
And they're always new. There's always new stuff coming in.
And
Um,
great, you've got, and I love how responsive you are. And it's not just you thinking, "Oh, I reckon this would be a good feature, we'll put it out." It's all in response, really, to what this audience are asking you for, and
yeah, I
you're
mean,
onto a winner when you put that out.
somebody will write in and they say like, it'd be cool if it did this, and we'll just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
and they'll be like, are they
'Cause
gonna do it? And we're like,
yeah. And I guess
someday.
everyone's got a different use case for it, haven't they? You've got, folk doing like we're doing here. There's churches, there's production companies, there's all sorts that are using this, and musicians that have all got something that they want to do on theirs. And I guess
Yeah.
it's just a case of going, right,
A-
let's pick off the most popular
Another
ones.
one consideration we have to take into account now that the app has grown into a pretty full-featured tool used by a large group of people is like um, we obviously also don't want to like affect the stability and the reliability of the app, and so that can that can take some time, even to add something or make a change that doesn't make the app worse. Like we don't want to break things, I guess is the best way
Yeah.
to put it.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of the and we also don't want to make the app more complicated.
No.
One of the things that I think people really appreciate about Ecamm Live is that it's easy to use. Are you serious? He's gone again? It's easy. It's easy to use Ecamm. I hope. I
Yeah.
mean, I know you run Ecamm Live Academy and take people to the next level, but I like to think at least that in general people can learn the
Yeah.
the basics, um, and that it's easy. And the more we add, the
Mm.
less likely it is to be user friendly. So we do when we approach a new feature, we think about it in terms of like how can we add this, but also not
Yeah.
make the app more complicated or more intimidating. So we kind of
Yeah.
we
That's very wise.
think about it more methodically than just like what would be cool or what's the next thing that people are going to want to do. We also think about what would be best to add in
Yeah.
terms of like keeping the app approachable and easy. So like for example, the people that have been following our Q&As know that we announced the Zoom integration.
Mm.
That there's a lot of excitement around that. But one of the big things with getting that Zoom integration in there it was like, how can we do this better than the other tools that have a Zoom integration and make it easier, make it like just so much easier to do and also works really well, which leads me to like I'm going to share a little trick with you. Like if you want Ken and I to add a feature to the app, the best way to do it is to show us an example of some crazy hack that someone is doing to do a certain thing.
Something that
Okay.
just makes your eyes bleed.
Because that will just drive us crazy. We'll be like, so an example of that is like Zoom ISO, which is an extraordinarily popular app and it's great and it's very powerful, but it's kind of hacky, it's like that kind of in the middle and you're filling with these little buttons and it's like, and like piping audio this way and that way and like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, show us that. And we'll just be like, like we got to make that easier. Like, stop doing that crazy thing. Like,
Well, Zoom ISO is amazing, like how powerful it is. But
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
not for everybody. It definitely isn't. It's very high tech, and we want to bring that down to the masses. Let everyone use it.
yeah. So if you want to get us to add something, show us the crazy way that you're doing it. That's not simple, and that will like kind of drive us mad, and like
Well, we're all eagerly awaiting the Zoom integration, so we're really pleased that you're working hard on that one. I'm not going to press you any more about it, but fantastic. Very quickly, just at the end, kind of a quick fire thing. So let's come away from all the tech side of it. Favorite holiday destination so far?
holiday destination.
Been anywhere nice? Vacation?
Oh man, we're heading out next week. My favorite is we take the family down to St. John and the Virgin Islands. We've been doing that for many
Wow.
years. So the kids, to the point where the kids like they're totally spoiled. They just assume we go to the Virgin Islands every February. It's kind of a mess because now we can't stop going, but we love
You've
it.
started
It's
something.
low key.
Oh,
We
beautiful.
just pick a
See?
different beach every day and just relax.
Fantastic. So you go back to the same place rather than you're not going to tell me you've been around the world to different places then. And
Yeah, we're also now that the kids are a little older, we want to mix it up and start going to new places.
yeah,
But we're
Well-
going to have to convince them to stop going there.
yeah. I know that feeling. No offense, Owen. I went to the other side of the room going.
Hi, Owen.
We also have a me and Glenn share a little place right on the coast here. It's about 15 minutes from where I am now.
I've seen it.
And so we can just get over there to the ocean. It's not swimming weather most of the year. I was there yesterday, and there's ice and snow all around, and
really,
but it being right on there's something about a house right on the ocean that is special. And
until it washes away.
Until it washes
Rachel's
away.
saying, "Come and join us."
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you think of something? This is just sort of giving me a little glimpse into your minds, really. But something off of a bucket list. Is there something you'd love to do, or somewhere you'd love to go?
I want to go to England again.
Oh, really?
We took a short trip there when the kids were babies, and
well, we can help you with that one.
I think we need to come visit the Salisburys.
Come on,
soon.
Never mind Salisbury Beach. You can come to Salisbury.
Well,
House.
Maybe you could help with this. Like one thing that I really want to do. I'm a real nature person, and I love that the English, the people seem to have a very powerful attachment to nature and countryside. For them, they understand gardens, they understand trees, they understand the value of rural communities and country lanes in a way that Americans really just don't. And I don't know about other parts of the world, but when I think of like England, I think of stereotypical, the value of nature and
some lovely gardens and
and I would
well,
like
you
to
can.
find,
Well, can't you
come and see my dad's garden? He's got a beautiful garden.
Can't you
I'd like
walk? Can't you walk through fields? Like, isn't there some rule where you can just like walk through people's fields?
Yeah,
Like, that's completely insane to me. Like,
really,
you can just walk through someone's field.
So I would like to find like a house we could rent in England that is, like a beautiful stone kind of Englishy kind of house that's in a location that's all surrounded by pastures and forest, and that where we could just explore the whole, like for weeks and just walk in the out. I know
I can
that's
think
an idealized American view of what England is like, but I think that it probably exists.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely does. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to do that. We should go on tour. Yeah. We'll we'll go across the country. We'll hire a minivan and I'll find you some spots, or I'll set you up in some lovely Airbnbs places. Yeah, Derbyshire, somewhere like that. I think I don't know if we've got any other English folk on. Rachel's saying the Lake District. Yeah, the Lake District is beautiful. She's right, actually. That's definitely where we ought to send you.
And
let us know when.
Japan and nature, same similar feel there.
Yeah. Fantastic. Right, now I did ask on someone's asked this in the chat, did I get to the car question yet? Because I did put this on the teaser and said all kinds of questions that I was going to ask about you, and I said we're going to ask who's got the fanciest car.
Glenn.
Mine's faster.
Glenn's is beautiful. Glenn's has got a massage seats in it. Yeah. Oh, no, I wanted to drop that. I was just sort of saying things that we were going to ask you about Ecamm and where the name came from and who's got the flashiest car. So, yeah.
Glenn's car is definitely the one that's turning the most heads lately. I was an early adopter of electric cars, and back in 2017 or 2018 or something, the Model S was that car that would make everybody, look at it as they went by. Not so much anymore. It really is kind of like not common, but not like we're in LA or something, but you see them every day.
Yeah.
Whereas Glenn's new Lucid is something else, like that makes everyone turn and go, "What just went by?" So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if we were doing this 6 months ago or 12 months ago, it would be Ken. But he's pipped you to it.
Yeah, once I'm not going back to the Volvo. Now that I've got the Lucid, it's so fun to drive, and once you go electric, I don't think you'd ever would go back to like a hybrid or anything like that.
No. Well, thank you for that. I just wanted to throw a sort of a silly question at the end, really, but Lucid's super nice for sure. No, as I said before, I honestly can't thank you guys enough for what you've allowed me to do and be sort of come and be part of all this. And since that partnership of ours back in 2019, we haven't looked back.
Yeah, we should do it more often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's not wait another 5 years.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the next project that you've got. Yeah. And we've obviously got to give a huge shout out to Katie as well. I know you mentioned her early on, but from my side, Katie's been amazing at helping me and helping this partnership work, really. And this, timing is spot on right now. Part of the reason I was keen to talk to you right now or do this interview right now, we're just about to start our Ecamm Live Academy. I mentioned earlier, it's had over 2,000 people go through it. And we get such great feedback, and I hope you do as well. But the next one starts Monday, and there's a link in the description if folk want to come and join us in there. Hopefully it's not going to be the last one that we can do in a Facebook group like that, but it's certainly going to be quite different, I think, when we run it again in September. But we're going to make the most of this one and have a really good time in there.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to say before we go that people, if they're watching this whole thing all the way through, they should not consider that what we were just saying to be by any means the complete and definitive history of Ecamm. We left a lot of things out. There's a lot of other people who are important to the project who we didn't get time to mention, and lots more interesting things to the story. So you'll have to catch that
on the next edition. We'll have a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I was hoping to, I was going to ask you about future plans and things. I'm just conscious we've been an hour and 20 minutes, and for your time and folk that are on.
Oh yeah, wow.
But no, from all of us and the chat, myself, we just want to say a huge thank you for Ecamm Live and for your dedication to, as we said earlier, listening and responding and just building us an app that, as I'm not the only one that's popped in here, it's absolutely changed our world, saved people's businesses, done all sorts of things. So just a huge thank you to you and the team from everybody. I should have my little clap thing on, but there we go. So thank you ever so much. Anything you want to say in closing?
Oh, thank you for all you've been doing for us. I mean,
you're very welcome.
Explaining people how to use our tool is key.
Yeah.
Have a great Ecamm Live Academy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a blast.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Adrian.
And
Bye,
thank you everyone for coming and joining us and being with us for this live. All the best. Bye.